Hello friends, Namaste and welcome to my channel Reflects Positively with Richa Agarwal. In a certain kingdom, there was a strange precondition for a king to get elected. A person could become a king if and only if he was willing to be exiled after 5 years of ruling the kingdom. Obviously, there were few takers, and those that did take up the kingship behaved typically as follows. The first 3 years of kingship would be years of revelry and enjoyment, and the thought of exile would seldom cross the mind of the king. Of course, whenever it did, that thought would doubtless be frightening. But it would be dismissed because it was a distant event. The 4th year would be more down to earth. The king would realize that the date of exile was nearing, and he would start thinking more and more often about it. Overall, his enjoyment and revelry would be perceptibly less in the 4th year than the first 3 years. Then, in the 5th year, helplessness and the fear syndrome would set in. The king would be thinking more and more about the looming exile and be unable to enjoy the kingly pleasures. In the last month, the king would virtually be lost in thought obsessively, thinking only of the impending date of exile. The date of exile would be a frightening prospect because it was looming close now. On the last day, he would even try and hide himself, but the soldiers were trained to hunt him out and take him forcibly to a boat where the boatman would ferry him away to a far-off island where he would be exiled and marooned for good. The last image of the king would be one who would scream and beg for pity. However, one king was different from the rest. He surprised the entire kingdom with his uncharacteristic confidence and concern to the exile. Unlike the previous kings, he enjoyed very much in the first 3 years, even more in the 4th, and incredibly he enjoyed the most in the 5th year. Everyone felt that he was pretending, and in the last month he would get cold feet and start showing the same symptoms as his predecessors. However, they were all wrong. He continued abated in his revelry and on the date of the exile. The soldiers went to search for him and did not find him anywhere. Thinking that he was hiding somewhere outside the palace, they came out where they heard a shout from the river and the boat. They were astonished to see that king had already made himself comfortable in the boat. They told the boatman to take him. He waved out to the soldiers who were wonderstruck. The boatman could not believe this. On the way, he asked the king what made him so bold and unafraid of the exile. The king merely asked him to wait till they reached the destination. The boatman wondered what could be there at that deserted island. He was stunned by the sight that he saw when they reached there. The island was brilliantly decorated and geared up for all possible pleasures and necessities. Food, drink, buildings, and all facilities for living, fun, and enjoyment had been created. The king had intelligently foreseen the days of the exile and prepared himself and the island for his future stay. During his reign as a king, with the powers he had, the island had been developed and fully equipped to provide for all his pleasures, enjoyment, and stay after his rule came to an end. He made due preparations to ensure that he could meet the exile the way he wanted while he was in power as a king, instead of just worrying about or not thinking about the days of exile. So friends, through this story, there is a message. All students and professionals also need to think like this king. They must constantly prepare for the unforeseeable future irrespective of how they may be doing at any time. It is important to remember that good times are not permanent. Changes in law, technology, and environment are certain, and one has to prepare and be ready for the unforeseeable. Constant research, self-upgrading, and continuous professional education, etc., are absolutely essential. Long-term strategies and a vision for the future are the hallmarks of every successful man. Saving for a rainy day or for old age and medication costs are imperative. On the spiritual front, we must prepare ourselves for the day of our death. Be spiritual and hardworking. Waste not a moment, and we shall have all the pleasures continuing even after our departure from this world. So friends, if you really like this story, then do like and share it with your friends and family. And do not forget to subscribe it for the latest video every week. Thank you.